Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Cool. Hey, from the audience, I got my questions, but theirs are always more fun. Allie in Texarkana, she remembers you from Austin days. She says, I love when Luke is on the show. You have a fun Austin, Texas story from your time with the Texas Stars? Something real quick.
Well, I'm still the all-time penalty minute and fight leader with the Texas Stars. So I started my career there. 4 years, 19 to 22 age. Some of my fondest memories were made in Cedar Park, Texas.
It is a grand town. From BW in Edmonton says, pardon me, Luke, who was the toughest hockey fighter you faced and hardest body checker?
Oh, good questions. The fighter part, I've never felt, still to the day, anyone as strong as Brian McGrattan. And I fought him my first Battle of Alberta in Calgary, center ice at the Saddle Dome. And when he grabbed onto my collar, I had never felt something like that in my life. He had this ability to move me around anywhere he wanted to go. And I remember just having an internal dialogue, just kind of hang in here, breathe, stay in there. But there was nobody like Big Earn, I'll tell you that much. Hitter.
Those are the best. Yeah.
But Dustin Byfuglien, anyone that has seen the YouTube clip of me get hit by Dustin Byfuglien, and I did a full 180, there was nobody like him in hockey, especially when he got moving. And when I tried to hit him multiple times, it was just like bouncing off a brick wall.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
This is peak Florida. Yes, it is. It's just so mean. From the moment I set foot there, they're like, don't leave. And the only reason I am is because it's too damn hot. But it's just anything goes, man. No helmets on motorcycles. No law. There's no laws in Florida. Ponies mating, and it's just my kind of thing.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show on a Wednesday, October the 30th. It was a very good intro for the start of the program because we are in Florida, South Florida, and Moose is in the Toronto studio. And so there was just a knock at the door before I went to air here. If we can bring Moose in. So I got derailed a little bit. Darren, try and keep in my mind straight. I will be hosting the Cats and Bolts podcast later this afternoon, so half my mind's on the Tampa Bay Lightning and Florida Panthers, and yours is on getting around Ontario last night. Arash Madani of Sportsnet will be with us later on in hour one. Jared Dumba, our hockey analyst, will be with us in hour two. Those are the guests. And, can you hit the quick six show horn, please, Director Jordan? We'll get into the sports talk so Jordan can go about his day. By the way, Friday is his last day with us, and we're not happy about that. We'll be talking about that later, Jordan. But I think his mind's made up. His last day is Friday with us, Moose. But before we get into the actual sports talk, tell us about your night. I'm a little excited. You Ontario and Eastern Canadian junior hockey fans, perk up because Moose has a hell of a story for you.
Well, it was a lot of fun last night. Got in the car, and Peter Labardius and I went down to Peterborough, and he's a scout, the Calgary Flames, we know that, and tagged along for a ride. It was awesome. You know, I've never been to Peterborough, been to Oshawa. I've seen the road signs that say where Peterborough is, but down the 401 to Peterborough and got into the arena, which was a treat to see that building and be around. Rode the elevator with Dick Todd, who's in the rafters of the Peterborough Arena, coached Canada at the 91 World Juniors in Saskatoon when they won gold, a second consecutive gold medal. So it was a really fun night. Got to watch some good hockey, watched Winnipeg Jets prospect Kevin He, a young, small, but really fast player. And we had a blast. It was a lot of fun and a really cool building.
Here's some photos here. You have some photos to show the world?
Yeah, let's see what we got. I took some photos last night. So this is the rafters. Like, look at the Peterborough, what do you want to call it? The Hall of Fame. Scotty Bowman, Mickey Redmond, Bob Gainey, Colin Campbell, Roger Nielsen, Larry Murphy, Steve Eisman, Chris Pronger, Jamie Langenbrunner, and Dick Todd's at the end of that too. Like, that's pretty cool. They were giving away or auctioning off a Steve Eiserman Peterborough Pete's jersey last night. And then as we get in there, I'm like, this is so cool. And Lou says to me, wait till you see the corners. Look at them. They're almost square, the corners. But and a couple of times it caught Niagara by surprise. But never seen a building like that. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, here's the cool thing. That photo right there looks like it's from 1965. It was from last night in Peterborough, Ontario. Yeah. So I'm just happy that you're happy that you went out there with Peter Labardius and you said everybody knows he's a scout for the Flames. Not everybody knows that. A lot of people are wondering if he is what he's doing, and that's what Peter Labardius is doing.
Yeah, and for our CFL fans, we're riding the elevator on the way back down with a couple of older people, an older couple, and he had that Bandit logo right on his jacket, this old Letterman jacket, but it looked like brand new. I said, "Is that the Brooks Bandits logo on your jacket?" Being a Western guy, he turns around. It was a vintage, but like brand new Ottawa Renegades jacket, with the CFL logo on the side, Letterman jacket on the back. So that was cool. So we had a little chat about that, about his Ottawa Renegades jacket. But Peterborough was a fun night last night.
Yeah, and by the way, we're breaking with tradition a little bit here in hour one, and I'm okay with that. Normally we're flying through the quick six show topics, and we're going to get to those. So Darren's sitting there, and he went from Toronto to Peterborough last night to watch a game. My phone is blowing up, and now our chat is blowing up with Panthers fans. Joshua writes in, Joshua Dorf, and here in South Florida. He says, will you be covering the games Friday and Saturday? No, and we're going to be addressing this later on in the Cats and Bolts podcast. People need to keep this separate, and I know you're never going to, but I'll just keep saying it maybe until you do, like your parents to take out the garbage until you do. This isn't the Panthers show. And the Panthers fans are blowing up my phone saying, are you going to Finland? And I appreciate that, but no. And it's funny, I don't ever really want to go to Finland or anywhere off this continent. You live, Joshua, in South Florida. Why would we want to go anywhere? People come here for a holiday. I don't want to go to Finland. I, like you, will be watching the games on television. I think it's a 1 p.m. Friday, 11 a.m. Saturday. And that's it. I'm not going to Finland. But Joshua also says, when will the Motor City Slapper make another appearance on here? That is Scott Morganroth, the publisher of the South Florida Tribune. Just so you know, Joshua, he's coming on here on Friday, hour 2. So you showed up in good time with some good questions here, but that is the deal. But we try to keep the Panthers and Lightning talk to an absolute minimum here because we are, I'll say it again, on national television in Canada. Say it with me. Game Plus Television in Canada. It is a Canadian sports show.
How about that?
On the radio in Atlanta, WQEE. That one, Rhino Radio will have to explain. And then streaming. Joshua also says, he goes, I'll be covering from the couch. Panthers Stars in the Global Series in Finland. And he says, the weather is amazing here right now. Yes, it is. Every single day I get up and every single day I go to bed and think, oh my God, is it ever nice? 28, 29 degrees Celsius, Moose, kind of nice. Wear shorts every day. That's why I live here. With no plans to leave. Jordan, can you hit the quick six show horn, please? Director Jordan. Hit it again. Yeah, I will say this. This is a joke I'm going to tell on the Cats and Bolts podcast, but for those that aren't watching it, here, you'll like this, Darren. We are going to go to Europe for Serena's birthday. She knows that. She knows that. Her 30th birthday. Okay? You're welcome. Don't be telling that story. She's not actually going to be 30. You get it, Moose? But that's why we're not going to be going to cover hockey. Yeah, exactly. So I want to say this. We had the viewer in Penticton, BC say nobody in Canada cares about baseball because the Blue Jays are out. I don't believe that. And for those that don't know, hockey is number 1 in Canada. I would suggest football is 2. A very close 3 is baseball. And then a distant fourth is basketball. And you may or may not agree. Anybody write in with your thoughts on that? That's what I think. And I've only lived there a half century. But you were like, the reason I bring that up is all my social media feeds, my friends on social media are going off about the World Series. Anthony Volpe's third inning grand slam overcame Freddie Freeman's record-setting home run. And the Yankees avoided a Dodgers sweep in the World Series last night, a winning Game 4, 11-4, forcing Game 5 tonight. Freddie Freeman homered for his sixth straight series game. That's an MLB record, hitting a 2-run drive in the first inning. And again, Game 5 tonight, Yankees ace Garrett Cole against the Dodgers' Jack Flaherty. That's a rematch of Game 1. Tell me, am I wrong? It's not just because I live in Florida. Like, my Canadian friends on social media are into the World Series now. Our poll question here yesterday was, is this going to end in a sweep? 66% of respondents said that it was. They were wrong. Game 5 tonight's going to be boffo ratings-wise, Moose, I think. How about you?
I think so, too. I think it's going to be great. You get it on a Wednesday. There's no NFL. NHL midweek. I think the World Series is going to be appointment viewing. And I'm going to be watching. Didn't watch last night, but, we were sitting in the stands checking the scores. Like, we're interested. And, the fact that it didn't end in a sweep and they put 11 runs on the board, you start thinking, man, are the Yankees bats getting hot now? And that could be trouble. They got Garrett Cole on the mound tonight. So that could be, that's their bet, their ace, I believe. Yeah, let's go. World Series.
I said we're breaking with tradition here today. And we are. We're not ripping through the quick six show topics here in the warm-up. Nelson, our VP of SEM Events, writes in, he says, from my marketing numbers on the score, the Blue Jays have more followers than the Rough Riders in Saskatchewan. The Jays have more followers in Saskatchewan than the Rough Riders do. So there's no question Canadians are paying attention to the Fall Classic. I had to spit out the translation on that for Nelson. The Blue Jays have more followers in Saskatchewan than the Rough Riders do. That should tell you something. And here's the thing about Joshua Doer. He's like, is there such a thing as a good rash? He comes and he stays. And a rash is not a good comparison. He offers a lot. He's got great comments. Joshua here. He says, I'm trying to watch the World Series. I was hoping it would end last night. I was too. But the Yankees had other ideas. And all of a sudden, I'm into it. And I'm reading up on it. And the Yankees are trying to be the second team since the 2004 Boston Red Sox to come back from down 0-3 and come back and win the World Series. And it's ironic that the Yankees are using the Red Sox as motivation. All of this. What? I thought we didn't care about baseball. So here we are. And that's the wonderful thing about sports. Now, as I was working out at Johnny O's this morning, although as Serena will say, you weren't working out, you were running. I was thinking about this. Freddie Freeman has hit a home run in 6 consecutive series games. That's World Series and ALCS. Alex Ovechkin here is close. That's my next point. Ovi's getting a lot closer. 38 goals away now from catching Wayne Gretzky. You're realizing, Darren, steroids aside, we're not going to talk about McGuire, Sosa, these guys. A lot of records of our favorites are going to go down here just because the athletes are better. You know what I mean? Are you prepared for that? That just kind of dawned on me today. Like, I don't think, I know Ovi's not on performance-enhancing drugs. My God, he's the size of a fridge. He ain't getting around like he used to. But you know what I mean. The athletes are far superior now. These records are going to be going down a lot. How do we feel about that?
Yeah, I think they are. And I wasn't sure that was going to be the case. We all knew the athletes were getting better. We all know that the nutrition's better, the fitness is better, the skill level's higher, all the rest. But I always felt like, again, without living in that era, that the separation from the best, to the worst, that the gap is really small. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's great. Where I thought maybe in the olden days there was a bigger gap between Gretzky and who was skating on the fourth line. And maybe there's not as big of a gap today. But I think I'm wrong because Ovechkin's doing it and scoring at such a crazy pace that he's going to break Gretzky's record. And who knows what records McDavid's going to break. And then Connor Bedard after him. So records we thought were untouchable are not untouchable. And I think that's good for the game.
we're going to see, well, I believe in football gods, hockey gods, baseball gods. Pretty sure you do too. We're going to find out if they go along with this, whether these records should fall or not, because they're about to. Again, dabbling with the viewer comments from Jason in Red Deer. He says, we'll be close to Florida in a few weeks. We're going to New Orleans and Baton Rouge for a college game at LSU. Yeah, it ain't anywhere close, bro, but it's a 12-hour drive. We did it last year at Christmas. If you want to try and drive it and come see me, you can. It ain't close. Regarding taking Serena to Europe for her 30th birthday, Utah Darren says, my sister has had multiple 29th birthday parties. From Shy, who I believe is in Regina, he says, with those hurricanes in Florida, no way I would be happy. I'd be too worried of being wiped out. Here's what I say to that. It's stay there. Just stay there. We're good here. I covered for me, the highlight of the NHL last night was the Washington-New York Rangers game. I watched most of it. 5-3 Capitals won. Maybe they'll be reflected in our top 5, bottom 5 NHL, which is coming up. Dylan McIlrath, Matt Rempe fought last night, and just a hell of a game. This is a topic that I did get into on our South Florida Tribune podcast the other night with the host, Scott Morganroth. Is fighting making a comeback? And to just fortify that, Mike Keenan, Iron Mike Keenan, kind of went along with that the Panthers brought back the rough, tumble style. Is fighting making a comeback? Can somebody look up the numbers on that? Because I feel like it is.
Feels like it. And it feels like when we see Matt Rempe in the lineup, and it seems like he's only in the lineup when they're playing heavy teams or there's sort of that, title bout on the card. I'm not really seeing the negativity around it, I'm not seeing the negativity and the people that are, against fighting. Maybe it is making a comeback. And I don't know if you saw, but watching SportsCenter this morning, they were playing highlights of the Boston Celtics coach on a radio show or a podcast, and they were asking him about rule changes. And he said, they got to allow fighting in basketball. They allow the benches to be cleared in baseball. They allow fighting in hockey. Why don't they allow fighting in basketball? And he's campaigning for fighting in basketball. Maybe fighting is making a comeback. I'm not necessarily campaigning for it, but that could be the case.
I'm all for it. Joshua Dorr says we're safe on the east coast of Florida. I was sitting with Serena when the Gulf Coast side was getting slammed by Hurricane Milton and Helene. I said, the longer we're here, we're going to get creamed one day. And she's like, I know, but it's not today. They're writing in about the NHL games from last night. Jared Dumba's going to be with us coming up later on in hour 2, our NHL analyst. I got to just pump the brakes for a second, obviously for a commercial break. And then another, Jeff, the Stamps fan, has entered the chat, and he says, I bet a European soccer game is in Rod's future. Now, you missed the start. I don't have an interest in going to Europe. I don't have interest in going to Finland with the Panthers. I'll be covering it from the couch like other Panthers fans here. I'm good with North America. I wanted to see all these places. Darren last night went to Peterborough and saw that wonderful arena there and all the banners. That's the Hockey Hall of Fame, let alone the Peterborough Hockey Hall of Fame. I want to see these things. I don't necessarily want to live there, but there's a great, awesome world, a continent that I want to see. Europe, I'm okay if I don't. I'm not dying to go there, but I also understand a lot of my friends are. So you have fun, take a lot of pictures, tell me about it when you come back. Until then, I'll be sitting here in my 28 degrees Celsius, 85 Fahrenheit, by the pool. We're good. We're good. We'll get into the rest of this when we come back. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, live streaming on YouTube, of course, Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hour one's brought to you by Culligan. Drink clean, live green. Filter your water for a healthier tomorrow. Culligan Water of Regina. Visit culliganregina.com. Stop the presses. As you can see, I am in the South Florida studio. Moose is in the Toronto studio. And for the football fans, we have breaking news on this Wednesday. Ooh. And I appreciate Mark Stephen, the voice of the Stampeders. Did you see his tweet? The voice of the Calgary Stampeders, Mark Stephen. Calgary Stampeders shake up their coaching staff. Out. Special teams coordinator Mark Killam. Defensive coordinator Brent Munson. Defensive line coach Juwan Simpson. All out. So just as we're about to make our segue to the Canadian Football League.
How about that?
This is not surprising, just as that's the way football goes. We saw it in Saskatchewan. It's, what gets closer and closer and closer to the sun. Bo Levi, you were the problem. Gone. Well, clearly he's not the problem. So now we got to fire some assistant coaches here. They're the problem, right? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And as the football guys have said, the coach, the GM are proven football men. Dave Dickinson and John Huffnagel can't be them. So the finger gets pointed at Mark Killam, Brent Monson, and Juwan Simpson, all gone in Calgary. I'm a little surprised.
I'm surprised. I thought Mark Killam was kind of, in track as the next great coach. And the head coaching candidate in a lot of circles. And maybe that, and I would hope that's still the case. But they decided they needed to make changes, and we knew changes were going to come in Calgary in some regard, and so this is it. We'll see if that's that fixes things.
Yeah, it took me a while to figure this out. I guess if that's my role, is to inform people of the wisdom that I've gathered. I'm okay with that. Puck and Pigskin podcast writes in and says, I'm surprised that Dave Dickinson is keeping both jobs. Thought he would be out as head coach. Well, that was announced on Monday during our show. We covered that. Here's the thing that I've realized. The people that are in charge aren't going to fire themselves. So, you know what I mean? So, and heading into this weekend with the playoffs, the CFL semifinals, which I'm going to get to, that's our poll question in a second. There's a lot of debate over lack of ticket sales at Mosaic Stadium in Regina and for the playoff game. It should be sold out. It's not. There's a million excuses and reasons why it's not. Here's what I'll say. This regime of the Riders is so similar to the 90s that they got it right down to the way they fluked their way into the Grey Cup in 97. This team will probably do it too, but it didn't fool anybody. And by the time 1999 rolled around, there was 16,000 fans a game. I was there. I saw it. Our general manager, Alan Ford, put his balls on the table, and he said, if we don't make the playoffs in the 99 season, I'll resign. We didn't even come close. 3-15, he resigned. But Alan Ford is a man of integrity and honor, and it ain't that way anymore around there. I don't see anybody staking anything on anything, right? So let's just see how the game plays out and how many people show up. Now, our poll question today is for EMJ Marketing. As always, transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more information, emjmarketing.com. What is Canada's game of the week in the Canadian Football League as we head into division final weekend? Saturday afternoon, the earlier game is in the East, the Ottawa Red Blacks at the Toronto Argonauts. And the Western semifinal follows that up. The BC Lions at the Saskatchewan Roughriders. 88% of respondents. I was interested to see what it would be. On Twitter, 88% saying it's the Western semifinal. On Twitter, YouTube, it's a little closer. 60% saying the Western semifinal. I'm hoping to watch as much of those games as I can. I haven't looked at the times yet because I only go one day at a time, as you all know. It's the Western game for me. How about you?
Yeah, it's the Western game for me too. And the thing I like about the Western games, they're on later, and it's going to really help my Saturday. I think I've made the plan to kind of follow the Eastern final on my phone because I'm going to go to Laurier University and watch some OUA playoff football in the afternoon, and then I'll come home in time to watch the Riders and Lions. So that's kind of my Saturday.
Like I said, yeah, I haven't looked at the times yet. We'll see. I got to get through Wednesday, and then we'll worry about Thursday. You know, it works for me. Yeah. Colin in Ottawa writes in, and he says, can't wait for Arash Madani to do his victory lap now that his hated nemesis, Randy Ambrosie, has been ousted by the CFL Board of Governors. Yes, Arash coming up later on this hour. In hour 2, Jared Dumba talking NHL hockey. That's the order of it. Because there's been a lot of Flames fans have showed up today wanting to talk about their team. There'll be a lot of hockey in hour 2. Jared Dumba will be with us. Our top 5, bottom 5 coming up. If you want Darren's NFL top 5, it's in his column. That's at rodpeterson.com, running right now. It's the top item. The text line's open, 902-518-3033. It's brought to you by Alaterra Skincare. Alaterra. As sports fans, there's nothing we love more than a comeback. In the game against wrinkles, scars, and acne, it's never too late to revitalize your skin with Alaterra Naturals. Alaterra.com is their website. Use promo code RP20 for 20% off. How about this? I got people writing me going, Rod, you try it. We'll see how it works. I guess that's why the hosts get free samples of these things, which to this point I've not been offered free anything. But my friends are saying, you try it. We'll see how it works. I'm like, okay, I probably will. And before we get to a football update from you, Darren, from the audience, Ryan Thomas is watching, former Regina Pats captain. He writes, he sent an article from TSN saying fighting takes early dip but NHL players say it still has a place in hockey. I'll get to those numbers in a moment. Greg in Calgary says, hey, Rod, I'm football 1, hockey 2, baseball 3, basketball 3. I had it about right. Rick in Martinsville writes in, he says, come on, Rod, you spent the summer loving baseball. I said I wasn't against the World Series. I only can watch one channel at a time. Yeah, I love baseball, but it was a lot easier when I was a kid, and the games weren't starting at 8:08. When they were starting at 6:08, and I was watching on the farm, I watched every game. It's a time zones thing more than any. Darcy in Grand Prairie writes in, he says, some of us are obsessed with the Blue Jays 12 months of the year. I love the Blue Jays, but I don't love them that much. Now, in your column, you have some football notes, Canada West playoffs this weekend, if you wouldn't mind informing the masses, and any NFL thoughts you might have. Giver.
Yeah, it should be fun in the Canada West. We're down to the Final Four, the semifinals this week. Manitoba is going to host Regina. They had 2 games this year. Manitoba won them both, but largely they were basically one-score games. And Regina just had to insert Christian Katende as the running back. He's 230 pounds. He ran for over 200 yards against Alberta last week, so that should be fun. And then in UBC, the Thunderbirds are going to host the Saskatchewan Huskies. UBC's the reigning Hardy Cup champion and Vanier finalists. That should be fun because Saskatchewan's got the ground game going better, and it sounds like their entire defensive line that's been out all year is healthy and getting ready to play again. So that's like a brand new defense in Saskatchewan. Should be a lot of fun there. So that's good. And then... yeah, the NFL, like I had in the column Detroit and Green Bay is the game of the week, and I'm still shocked that this Thursday nighter, the Houston Texans at 6-2, I think they're 6-2. They're underdogs to the 2-6 New York Jets. I can't wrap my head around that. The Jets are now 2.5-point favorites. I saw on the score. Doesn't make sense. It's in New York, but everybody, no matter how many times they lose, they still think Aaron Rodgers and the Jets are going to eventually figure this out.
I know. It's weird. And I have not even begun looking ahead to this weekend as far as NFL games go. And college, I've tapped out. I was driving home from the gym this morning listening to Dan Patrick, and they were talking about Dan Patrick's taking credit for them going from a 4-game playoff to a 12-game playoff. I think he's kind of facetiously doing that, but he said he told the bigwigs, you should do this. There is an appetite for it. Now they're at 12, and they're joking that it's going to go to 24. Maybe it will. I don't know. I don't have time for it. I got my hands full. NHL, CFL, NFL. I'm just good. And guys were saying, hey, Rod, you spent the summer doing baseball. I did. And the WCBL schedule is to come out today. There's just too much. I've just tapped out. If you say I failed, I failed. Can't follow at all and have a life. Some people don't want to have a life. I do. Jeff, the Stamps fan, regarding our poll question, what's the game of the week? He writes in and says, how can there be a game of the week? Both are equal, unless it's based on popularity. Jeff, take a break from being a pain in the ass for one day. See how it goes. Glenn in Medicine Hat writes in, and we did address this earlier. He says, McElrath and Rempe, good bout. Geez, McElrath goes 6'5", 220 pounds. He's 32 years old now. Former Moose Jaw Warriors D-man. I was thinking this last night when I watched that fight. Whatever year we did the Trans-Canada Clash in Regina, listen, folks, listen to this for a second. We had the alumni play in the afternoon. Theron Fleury, Nevin Markwart, Mike Keane. What other names do you need to know? That's sold out the joint. I think at the time it was 5,700 was a sellout in the Brand Center. That night, the actual junior teams played. We had half the crowd. More people showed up to watch the alumni than the current teams, which wouldn't surprise anybody that loves junior hockey. But McElrath started a brawl, and there are people that still, he was playing for the Warriors, there are people that still remember this that I said on the air. Here's a guy that thinks he's tough. I said that on the radio. I'm kind of sitting back going, I can't believe that somebody didn't knock my block off back in the day. Many tried. Many tried, but none were successful. Paul in Humboldt writes in, he says, please ask Arash to describe Justin Jefferson's one-handed catch last week. I would love to hear his version. So there's they got lots to say today, Moose, and that's what we want. And the Alaterra Skincare text line is open to 902-518-3033. I'll see you in hour 2, Darren. Smoke him if you got him.
You bet. See you then.
By the way, if Arash Madani is logged in already, you can shoot me the topics you'd like to talk about, Governor, because there's a lot we can get to. The viewers are already hotly anticipating Arash's appearance next, here live on the Game Plus television network, WQEE Radio. Of course, we're streaming live on YouTube and in podcast form at Apple and Spotify.
Skate into the holiday season with the Stars. Stars on Ice 2024 Holiday Tour. With figure skating icon Elvis Stoyko, Olympic medalist Caitlin Osmond, Caitlin Weaver and Andrew Poche, Keegan Messing, Satoko Miyahara, and more. Stars on Ice. Coming to Moose Jaw Event Center December 20th. Unwrap your tickets at starsonice.ca.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Episode 1 launches November 1st.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Sports fans, join the Rod Squad newsletter today. Stay ahead of the game with exclusive insights, updates, contests, and exclusive content delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up for free today at rodpedersen.com. All the sports news is coming out of Alberta. We can bring in Arash Madani now to say Kevin in Edmonton's written in and says Connor McDavid will be out 2 to 3 weeks. And also in Calgary, the Stampeders largely cleaning house in a lot of ways. Defensive coordinator Brent Monson gone. Mark Killam, special teams coach, gone. Joanne Simpson, D-line coach, gone. Has people talking. And Arash broke the story. I think it was you broke the story, Arash, on Saturday that Randy Ambrosie will be gone after the Grey Cup. So a lot of changes, my dude, this week.
Yeah, a lot of changes. And right off the bat, I'd fully expect Brent Monson to end up on the coaching staff of the Toronto Argonauts next season. I don't understand why. I guess when you decide you're going to run it all back with this senior consultant and head coach and GM, you got to make somebody the scapegoat, and they made the special teams coach and the DC and D-line coach expendable there. But yeah, the Ambrosie thing has been brewing for quite some time, Rod, and without getting too much into the weeds, there was a Board of Governors conversation, I'm told, about Ambrosie's future and a potential contract extension for him. And when it was the furthest thing from unanimous, that's when really the writing was on the wall, and what happened the way it did.
5-4 vote against keeping him. What went into that?
Well, I think there's been some discontent for a while now, Roddy, with the way things are being run at the league office under Ambrosie's stewardship. And really, if you want to peel back some layers, it goes back to 2020 and the fact that the league didn't play, and how Ambrosie approached that entire thing, hands off, wasn't really sinking his teeth into it. Just the absurd performance in front of the House Finance and Heritage Committee, asking for $150 million without a business plan, without consulting the players. And there's been a real kind of divide here between new ownership, new money, and old ownership and old money. And what I mean by that is Ambrosie's basically installed Amar Doman in BC, and now Larry Thompson in Edmonton, and Pierre-Carl Pelado in Montreal. He's had their support. But for a while now, Larry Tannenbaum has publicly come out and expressed his dissatisfaction on how Ambrosie governs and goes about his business. I have been told for a long time Hamilton has shown a real displeasure. Winnipeg is not happy. So you have kind of 3 probably yays and 3 probably nays, and then in between have been these 3 other franchises. Where Sask, where Ottawa, where Calgary sits, I'm not quite sure, but ultimately the decision, that's where things have kind of stood on that matter.
Viewer Nelson wants to know who the early horses are as the next commissioner.
I'm not sure they even know yet, to be honest with you. I think this is something that this year at Grey Cup, the governors are going to get together. I don't think this was a decision made or a vote made in terms of, okay, let's get person A out of here because we have person B waiting in the wings, or we have a list of finalists that we have in mind right now, which is probably why Ambrosie is going to remain in the chair, into the new year, because they have to figure that out as they move forward. Now, we could throw some names around, but I don't think anybody had Jeffrey Orridge on the bingo card. I don't think anyone had Randy Ambrosie on the bingo card when they were putting in the last 2 commissioners of the league. So at this point in the game, it's just about figuring out what they want and what direction they want to go in, and then start looking at candidates.
Who had Mark Cohan? Who had Tom Wright? Who had Jeff Giles? Who had? God bless this league. It's going to be a lot of fun to talk about.
Well, I would say a lot of people had David Braley on because David Braley wanted his signature on the football.
I get it. Sure. Hey, one more on the CFL. This BC Lions story, fascinating. Big one Saturday in Sask. Vernon Adams has the ball. Who would have thought it? Not going to be Nathan Rourke. It's wild, man. The funnest time of the year is here, and BC's been like the biggest story outside Chad Kelly in the league.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, Rod, when I look at this week and next week in the CFL playoffs, with the 4 games coming up, to me, the most intriguing game leading into it is this weekend in Regina with BC and Saskatchewan because of the tentacles of this entire thing. I mean, on the Sask side, there's not a hotter team in the league, probably not a healthier team in the league coming into this playoff game than them. They're basically a Mother Nature wind gust or two away from hosting the West Final, but that didn't happen. But to me, on the BC side, Roddy, this becomes very intriguing. Because if the Lions lose this week, is Rick Campbell the next head coach of the Edmonton Elks? If the Lions win this week with Vernon Adams at quarterback, who is BC's starter week 1, opening day of 2025? I think these are really, like, and who would have thought this would even be a conversation point 6 weeks ago? Who would have thought 4 weeks ago when they went into Montreal and beat the Alouettes, in their stadium, the defending Grey Cup champions, all of those things? Can you sell Nathan Rourke in that market right now after what's happened? I'm not sure. Do you move forward with Vernon Adams if he's starting to ball for you? That becomes a question. And if it all falls apart with Rourke, with all the provisions, is that the end of Rick Campbell in BC? I just think there are so many layers to this in the aftermath if BC wins, if BC loses.
And that's why, Jeff, the Stamps fan, it's being voted as the game of the week of the two.
I think it's the game of the playoffs.
Yeah, Kim in Calgary writes in, she says, I love Arash Madani. That makes 2 of us, Kim. We got about 3 minutes and 2 points.
You're the best.
What about me? Paul in Humboldt wants to know your take on Justin Jefferson's catch on the weekend, or in LA on Thursday.
It's just another one. Add it to the list. I mean, how many more can there be? Remember the Buffalo game a couple of years ago? What was it, November of 2022? He is the most electric dynamite igniter, I think, in professional sports today. Great question.
And the World Series, we got to talk about this. I'm loving it. Have you watched every pitch? Where are you on the World Series?
Well, I think that what we're watching here with Freddie Freeman is one of the most incredible things that we've witnessed in quite some time. Like, there's only been one other player in the history of the World Series who has hit home runs in the first 4 games. Going into last night, Roddy, how about this one? He had driven in as many runs himself as the Yankees had as a team through 3 games. Now, how rare is that? The last time that happened, Lou Gehrig did it in 1928. Look, the Dodgers are by far the better team. They have more offensive firepower, especially with Judge struggling. But I will also say this. If the Yanks win tonight and they all have to get on a plane to go back to LA, and New York has won back-to-back games, is there a seed of doubt planted in LA, especially with all their playoff failures of the past? I just wonder about tonight. And Garrett Cole gets the ball in the Bronx. It's going to be fun.
And the ratings are just going to skyrocket. But tell me this, we'll go a little over. I didn't realize the hate out there for the Dodgers. Is that not new? Because to me, the Dodgers is royal blue. Tommy Lasorda, Vin Scully, Kirk Gibson, Rick Koufax. People hate them.
I think what people dislike is the fact that by far the 2 highest spending teams in baseball are in the World Series. Everybody likes the underdog story. Everybody likes the little train that could. I mean, you're talking like the Dodgers are the epitome of a super team. How many MVPs, Cy Youngs are on that roster right now? But I'll say this. Win and Dave Roberts, all the noise on Roberts goes away, which is amazing because they were staring down the barrel in the divisional series against San Diego, and he could have been out. And the other is, I think Betts is a Hall of Famer. Kershaw is definitely a Hall of Famer. Ohtani's on his way to Cooperstown. And now Freeman may very well cement himself there. This is a series that has Hall of Fame talent everywhere. We're watching greatness versus greatness. I just think the ones you may not hate as much as the ones in the pinstripes are going to end up winning this thing.
Fun to watch for sure. Fun to talk to you as always, my man. Let's do it again soon.
All right, Roddy. Anytime, bud.
Sportsnet's Arash Madani. Oof, big day in sports. We'll talk about it with a sports update next and viewer takeover. We're live on the Game Plus TV network, WQEE Radio, live streaming on YouTube and, of course, Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Episode 1 launches November 1st.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, it is what it is. It's 2024. Here's the deal. It's a Canadian sports show broadcasting from Florida. As you see, it works for us. If you don't like the topics, please move along. We're on Game Plus TV and Key Radio. It works for us. #1 rated talk show on the station. Breaking news. That's why we love daytime sports talk live on this channel here on Game Plus. We've learned today Connor McDavid is going to be out 2 to 3 weeks with a lower body injury suffered in Columbus the other day with the Edmonton Oilers. And also figurative bloodshed in Edmonton. Calgary. The Stampeders firing today. Defensive coordinator Brent Monson. Special teams coordinator Mark Killam and D-line coach Juwan Simpson. If we were doing a CFL show, we could talk about this because I talk about it with Nick Lewis all the time. Thick Nick. Stamps have long bragged that they've never fired a coach. Matter of fact, the only one they say that might have been fired was Khalil Carter, who left when his contract was up. That ends today. We'll kick this around next hour. Robert in Prince Albert says if the CFL wants to expand, they need to get Gary Bettman from the NHL. They won't expand into Canada, but they will have lots of teams in the U.S. LOL. Guy, Gary Bettman doesn't even know what the CFL is. You got to get real about it. Oh, and just so you know, I learned here recently that Gary Bettman is neighbors with us here in Boca Raton. How about that? His winter home. Paul in Humboldt says, I don't know what I appreciate more, Arash's dulcet voice or his insightful analysis. Lucky us, Paul, we get to enjoy both. Oh, Kim in Calgary says, what? Man, all the Calgary people have come out to play today. Says, what does Nick Lewis say? Nick has always talked about the fact the Stampeders have never fired a coach. Under John Hufnagel. That changed today. That might actually tell you who's in charge there. Not Huff. Thinking out loud on my feet here. Noni in Calgary writes in. She says, I'm shocked at Mark Killam being let go. I think Dave Dickinson's the problem. He's got too much to do. But it's only my opinion. Always great to be able to contribute to your show. And don't worry, I'll be in Regina to cheer the Riders on Saturday. Go Riders, go. Darcy in Grand Prairie says, who does Arash think is going to win the American elected? Well, let's put it this way. If Arash had a vote, we know who he'd be voting for. 6 games on tonight's NHL slate with 3 Canadian teams in action. The Jets, who suffered their first loss of the season on Monday against Toronto, face the Detroit Red Wings in Detroit. Part of the doubleheader on Sportsnet. Also, the Calgary Flames visit the Utah Hockey Club. And the Vancouver Canucks are home to the New Jersey Devils. Toronto Raptors aim to shake off Monday's overtime loss to Denver as they face the Charlotte Hornets tonight. Both teams hope to snap 2-game skids. Raptors 1-3, Hornets 1-2. Sports update brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. I'm going to read it again. In Landmark Cinemas now, Joker, Folie à Deux. From acclaimed writer-director Todd Phillips comes the much-anticipated follow-up to 2019's Academy Award-winning Joker, which earned more than $1 billion at the global box office. And according to somebody, it remains the highest-grossing R-rated film of all time. We had some pushback on that yesterday. I don't really know. I just read what they tell me. In Landmark Cinemas now, Joker, Folie à Deux. Moose next hour. Jared Dumba as well. A lot of hockey. And we'll discuss today's news as well. And World Series Game 5 tonight after this brief pause here on Game Plus and Key Radio.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
This is peak Florida. Yes, it is. It's just so mean. From the moment I set foot there, they're like, don't leave. And the only reason I am is because it's too damn hot. But it's just anything goes, man. No helmets on motorcycles. No law. There's no laws in Florida. Ponies mating, and it's just my kind of thing.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
It is, and it makes me quite happy, and found a home here. I'm going to tell you a little more about that in a second. We're going to have fun here in hour two. A lot more fun than 3 members of the Calgary Stampeders coaching staff have had today. Yeah, I'm in the South Florida studio. Moose is in the Toronto studio. This is going to shock you, Darren. Last hour, we talked about him. Here, we're going to talk about me. He had a great night last night going out to Peterborough, scouting a game in the OHL with Peter Labardius, who's scouting for the Flames now. And before we delve into the breaking news, which, by the way, I see my hall mates have left their offices here, so I'm going to ring the breaking news bell. The Calgary Stampeders firing 3 coaches of their staff today. Defensive coordinator Brent Monson, special teams coordinator Mark Kellum, and D-line coach Juwan Simpson. This 2 days after they decided that Dave Dickinson would remain as coach and general manager, despite having the worst record in the CFL this season. And Connor McDavid, we've learned, will be out 2 to 3 weeks with the Edmonton Oilers with a lower body injury. Now, here's the thing, Darren. Hold on tight to your chair because you might fall off it. Serena said something last night that shocked me. I almost fell off my chair. If I'd have been sitting down, I would have fallen over. We got a neighbor here who I love. I am not going to tell you his name. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's not watching right now, but he might be. You never know. But he kind of likes the bubbles. And he had a tragic situation, lost his wife some time ago. And so Serena and I came home last evening, and I said, I wonder how blankety blank is doing tonight. I wonder if he's, and she says, if I ever lost you, I might do the same thing. I was like, what? Are you okay? She doesn't usually talk like that. Yeah. But just our neighbor, we have several that we're in a new community and we like it. But I was like, oh, what a nice thing to say that she would say
Wow.
that. Yeah, I know.
You can't be
She's
sentimental.
Yeah, exactly. She won't even like that I told you that. But it was nice to hear it last night from her. And here's the other thing when I talk about the home that we've made in Florida. Last hour, Panthers fans showed up and started asking questions on this show. And I'm like, guys, it's not a Panthers show, okay? It's Canadian sports. If you like that, stay. If you don't, move along. We can't go changing everything. But, it's not like I'm anti-Canada or certainly anti-Saskatchewan. I come back in the summer and broadcast baseball, and the Western Canadian Baseball League schedule is coming out today, and I'm thinking that I'm going to be back for season 2 in the broadcast booth with the Millers. So everything is great. Everything is great. I hope that it is with all of you people, except for those 3 Stampeders coaches. So I'm going to jump in on some things here. And a lot of NHL coming up later on. My top 5, bottom 5, and our NHL analyst, Jared Dumba, is going to be with us from the famous hockey Dumba playing family, the Dumba hockey playing family. So let's spend a minute on football here, Darren, because this is massive. You heard those 3 coaches fired today by the Stamps. Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes it. He says, maybe if other teams did their work in scouting and coaching mentorship, the Stamps wouldn't be in this position, i.e., the Stamps were rated by other teams, and that's why they only had, whatever it was, 5 wins this year. What did you think when you heard about all these guys being fired?
Yeah, I thought, okay, I'm not really surprised. Something needs to happen. They need to show the fan base they're making some changes. Now, the next is going to be what the roster looks like come, free agency in the offseason. Going to have to make some considerable changes there. But, Rash mentioned Brent Munson, and Mark Killam was another one. These are names that were, brought up in other coaching searches when a coordinator position comes available or a head coaching position. These are names that come up, and now they're cast aside. So I think they'll land on their feet. I hope they will. And for Juwan Simpson, he's got a good name in this league, and I'm sure he'll have another opportunity to coach elsewhere.
All those guys have a good name in this league. I feel bad. Brent Monson's a guy that came down to the Grey Eagle Casino. I'll say this again. Monson did. He's got a young family, young kids. I think, let's be honest, any of us that have been in that position, it's a bind, it's a pinch. I feel bad for those. Killam came down to the Grey Eagle. Yeah, again, I said an hour ago we talked about Darren. Here we'll talk about me. I don't think it was arrogance, but it just dawned on me yesterday how lucky we were that all those Stampeders people came down. And for that matter, all the Flames alumni, the head coach of the Flames. I used to look at it like I just expected it. Why wouldn't they come down? And I realized, wait, they don't go down to too many shows, Rod. So I got nothing but love for Calgary. I miss that town. I really do. And the province overall. That's the word there. I'm just saying it's a pinch when you don't know where your next paycheck's going to come from. That's why this is a tough business. Kirk in Toronto writes in, football related. Hey, Rod, regarding where I live, he goes, raging hurricanes, deadly tornadoes, 8 months of oppressive heat. No thanks. I'll take Toronto's 4 seasons every time. But as you say, you do you. Hey, I'm glad you're happy there, and I'm happy here. Let's all do our thing. Happiness is the key point. And we brought this up because Darren was in Peterborough last night, and he just loved being in the Pete's Arena. And I'm happy that you were happy doing that. Like I say, I like to go out and see new things too. That's how I ended up in Florida. Thought I was going to be in Arizona. People plan and God laughs. Just enjoy the ride. And Kirk goes on to say, hey, Rod, the CFL has had 2 bad commissioners in a row, in my opinion. Maybe the 3rd time's a charm. I don't know if you watched the Rash interview last hour, but he said this decision to get rid of Randy Ambrosie in the CFL goes back to 2020, mishandled the presentation on Parliament Hill, canceling the season. It was the only major league that didn't play. And then the names are being, he said it's too early to probably even come up with a list of who the next commissioner would be. What is your take on that?
Yeah. Well, one, I can see it now, and I don't know why it hasn't been done. but I can see the cartoon in the newspaper. Rod Pedersen cartoon, Arash Madani cartoon, sitting in your lawn chairs, puffing on cigars, and you got the tombstones of Randy Ambrosie and Jeffrey Orridge right beside you guys, in the cartoon. Tongue in cheek, just for fun, because you guys had your battles, and that's all fine. You had your things, and that's just having fun. But a name that keeps coming into my head, and I believe that they probably don't know. And I was listening to Naylor and listening to Farhan or to Arash here too, and it'll happen at Grey Cup, and that'll be the process will start, and we're talking about months before we hire somebody. But I just can't help but think the name Paul Graham coming back into my head. I don't know if he's commissioner material, but I thought he was attached to the Elks job. That was my first just wild prediction. No inside information. He had interviewed in 2021 the TSN television executive, and now going to retire in January. And all of a sudden, they're looking for a new president in Edmonton. Well, I was told by people that he has said he's not doing that. But maybe the commissioner worked with MLSE, obviously knows them really well. Could be a fit. I don't know if his name will surface. I've heard lots of names get popped around. Somebody's mentioning, somebody like a Farhan Lalji to be commissioner of the league. I think the thing is we probably don't know. And as you guys pointed out, who were all these commissioners before they became commissioner? We didn't know who they were. So, my guess is as good as anybody else's.
That's fun to talk about, but here's my list. One guy, Mike Morreale. And by the way, I'm not a control freak. I just want to control me. I just want to control me. I don't want to control Serena. I don't want to control you. No, but I just want to control me. So if I was hiring a commissioner, I would have already called Mike Morreale. I would have called him already. I don't understand why these hiring situations, because I've been involved in some, we need to make it look like a search, but you're our guy. Yeah, I'm not comfortable with that. How about you to designate who you want and go hire them? Why? Stuff makes me very queasy, as a matter of fact. I don't get it, but I don't think like a lot of other people. David in Winnipeg writes in, he says, I'll bet my paycheck that brothers Craig and Dave Dickinson are coaching side by side next year for the Stampeders. Things won't improve unless new blood gets brought in. Somebody wrote in here earlier and said the Calgary Stampeders have become an old boys club. It was Pierre who said that. Jack in Alberta says, I'm all in for the Riders to go all the way, and Corey Mace as coach of the year. Now, this happens. The Stampeders have been rated. They've been rated actually multiple times, and they stumbled and they came back. And they will eventually come back. You all better hope that it's on Dave Dickinson and John Huffnagel's watch. They've done it before, and the football people seem to think that they'll be able to do it again. I was saying this to Darren earlier. Go ahead. Say that again.
It's 111.
Hey! I wanted to point something out. I don't know why. It just popped into my head. But I was telling Darren before the show, it's been exciting and fun for me. I think we all like new challenges, so maybe Paul Graham, after years, for those that don't know, he built TSN into TSN. He's the guy credited for that. Maybe he wants to be the commissioner. I don't know. I am on to my next thing. And I said to Darren, it's exciting down here that I've got Panthers fans and Lightning fans up my ass for more coverage about their teams. I'm like, guys, hang on. It's largely just a hobby. What's new for me is I never had that in Saskatchewan because I was pumping out all this content, television, radio, social media, my website, you name it. I was everywhere all day, every day. They were happy. I was happy. It was good. But I don't do that anymore. And when I was doing junior hockey, as I told you, it didn't matter how much I pumped out. Nobody really cared about the Pats. They just don't. It was a very small amount. But the Rough Riders and the Regina Pats are both 100-year franchises. That was really cool. Been around for over a century. Really cool. And even when I was in that role, I was honored to do it for that reason. Down here, trying to figure out how to do it because the more coverage I give the Panthers and the Lightning, and now I got the podcast. Now I'm writing in the newspaper. Now here, more. I'm kind of just sitting there going, chill out. You'll get it when you get it. It's kind of what's new for me. And the other thing is realizing that we're beating my head against the wall, working so hard for those franchises. I look back, there's Pats fans now that didn't even know I was the voice of the team for 20 years. Didn't even know. Why did I do that so hard? I worked so hard. I'm not doing that again. You know what I mean? So, again, it's fun to learn new things in new places, and I just couldn't imagine being stagnant and doing the same thing and seeing the same faces every day. Blow my head off. But that's just me. That's just me. Covering the NHL is something all I've ever wanted to do, and that's what I'm doing. So why do you think I'm so damn happy? Let's do our breakaway bets for tonight. You ready to rock? You won last night.
Yeah.
Out of the NHL
Thank
games.
you.
4 correct. I only had 3. Tonight it's the New York Islanders at the Columbus Blue Jackets. I'm going to take Columbus to win. They just spanked the Oilers. I'll take the Blue Jackets. You?
Okay. I'll take the Islanders to win that one tonight.
Okay. You don't have to pick the other team just because I picked the other team. But they're calling for a new general manager on Long Island. They're not happy with Lou Lamoriello. Just saying. Winnipeg Jets at the Detroit Red Wings. I'm going with the Jets.
Winnipeg.
What say you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you too?
Yep.
Okay. Tampa Bay Lightning at the Colorado Avalanche, a rematch of the 2022 Stanley Cup Final. I'm going to take the Avs. You?
Ooh. That's where I was going. So I'm going to stick with my gut and go Avs too.
Okay. Calgary Flames at the Utah somethings. Ooh. Who you like in that one?
I like Utah tonight.
Okay, perfect. Because I'm going to take the Flames. I've been picking against them and have been wrong. Well, I was right on Vegas the other night, but Vegas beats everybody, including the LA Kings tonight. Vegas will win at LA. That's my prediction. What's yours?
Okay, I'll go the other way. I like the LA Kings. I really do. I'm a fan.
Okay. Yeah, you just like LA.
I do. I'm an LA guy.
New Jersey at Vancouver. Who do you like?
I like Vancouver tonight.
Perfect. I'll go with the Devils. Clark, is Jared next, or is he 2 segments from now? Segment 3. Okay. Coolio. So we got time, Darren, for you and I to come back. Paul in Humboldt writes in and he says, P.T. Barnum always said, leave them wanting more, as did Jerry Seinfeld. I'm not sure necessarily. Yeah, he's talking about feeding these Panthers and Lightning fans with the hockey talk. It's disrespectful for me to say, well, we're not the only podcast down here, but I'm just getting this message from everybody, from the fans going, nobody's done this the way you've done it. I've been waiting 20, 25 years for the coverage you provide. You write hockey the way I want to read it. It's nice stuff to hear. It's nice stuff to hear, because what I've realized is we can always do the CFL stuff, and we'll do that when we come back. That'll always be there. People know that we know our stuff in that league. It's just fun to learn new things. As I said, Jim Hobson became president of the Rough Riders at 54. Mark Trestman didn't come to Canada till he was 52. You know what I mean? Nobody even knew who he was north of the border till he did. Ken in Mississauga writes in, he says, I don't know if you can look back and truly understand what motivated you day to day 20 years ago. I do. Very easily, and I've said this to Darren. 3 young faces looking up at me from the supper table. What's for supper? That's what motivated me every GD day. Yep. Now it's different, but I can tell you 20 years ago, feeding a family and paying my bills, that's what it was. We'll be right back, live on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, streaming live on YouTube, also Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sasktix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
RP Show continues on this Wednesday. Sports fans, there's nothing we love more than a comeback, right? In the game against wrinkles, scars, and acne, it's never too late to revitalize your skin with Aloe Terra Naturals. Check out their website at aloeterra.com. Use promo code RP20 for 20% off your next order. You guys let me know when Moose is ready to rock, okay? They tell me that his camera's calved. Okay, we got him now. And we're getting a lot of things off our chest today. We're covering a lot of ground. I'm not sure if you feel it, Darren, but I do. And, yeah. You know, we're supposed to, I think, grow. Somebody said this, or actually it was a meme I saw the other day that said, if you don't grow in life and evolve and get better every day, then all you do is just get old. And in a lot of ways, you know, just before I went to air here, as you know, just before noon Eastern, somebody knocked on the door here of the studio. The spacious studios at 4400 North Federal Highway in Boca Raton, Florida. It rattled me. It really did for a while. But now I know how to handle that because of, you know, I had a chat with Kelly Rudy about this. Like, watch your name, or watch your feet. I'm going to drop some names, Moose. We talked about goaltending, and I said, why did you, because you know how it came up. You want to hear something? I don't know if I've ever told you this. Kelly goes, your dad worked in the NHL, eh? And I said, yeah, for 26 years. And he goes, he was a goalie? I said, yeah, as was I. And Kelly said, how good were you? And I said, well, I don't know. My dad told me that I could have made the NHL, like on his deathbed. And I said to my dad when he was on his deathbed, you're just telling me now I could have made the NHL? Just why didn't you tell me when I was a teen? And he goes, why? You didn't care. You weren't serious about it. You know, it wasn't just that, but I said to Kelly that this reminded me of it today, getting rattled with the door knock. Kelly goes, I bet when you allowed a goal, the first goal of the game, you were done. Your mind was done for the whole game. I'm like, yeah. He goes, yeah, that's very common. He goes, but I had this thing. He had a coach, a mental coach, way back when, that said break the games down into 5-minute segments. Every 5 minutes, wow, it's a new game. Yeah, so forget about the first or second goals. And as I've told you, if you're having a bad morning, start your morning over. These are all things that I've learned. You know what I mean? Don't let one bad thing screw you up the whole day. What a way to waste a day. You know, start over.
So great. That's so great.
It's a
like
thing.
One bad thing and you're going to ruin the rest of the day. It's just like, yeah, start again. I like that. I've used that in my own life.
Yeah, I had a lot of help from a lot of great guys and mentors that I wish I'd known this. Not like my dad wasn't a wonderful mentor back then. It's not like I was missing out on an NHL career. With just doing it now.
Yeah.
Regarding this CFL commissioner thing, which, by the way, it's like, let's just go with it. I mean, I'd rather be talking about the playoff games this weekend. And it's only Wednesday. It's 3 days away before the playoffs on Saturday. So we will have our talk about the games on Saturday. But Wilf in Steinbach, Manitoba writes in and he says, hey, Rod and Moose, how about Wade Miller for CFL commissioner? A lot of people are putting forth the name of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers president as the next commissioner. I guess more than anything, I would say, does Wade want it? I don't think Wade's lived anywhere else in his life than Winnipeg. He's a Winnipeg guy, been very successful. And I'll look him up right now, Darren. But I wouldn't say no. But again, my list begins and ends with Mike Morreale. End of story. If Mike's not interested, then let's start talking about other names. But how do you feel about Wade Miller?
Yeah, I mean, add him to the list. Another candidate. I think you asked a great question. Is he interested? And what are they looking for in the next commissioner? And where, what type of background do they want them to have? And where's this league going? There are things that didn't go well. Talked about the COVID thing. So do you need somebody who's, better in the boardroom in those presentations? The Genius Sports thing hasn't really worked out with the stats, and that's been an issue. So are these areas that have been issues going to be top of mind, or is it something like expansion, or is there something else on their mind? It'll be curious to know what they want, and will you find somebody that can actually accomplish that? I'm with you, though. Mike Morreale just seems like the logical choice, but I don't know if that's what they're thinking, and that's what they want.
I was with Bob Poley the other night in Wolseley, Sask, doing a banquet. Beloved Canadian Football League figure. And we were talking about his career and my career and where we are. And I said, what's funny? Since I left the Rough Riders, my friends that I talked to in the game are from other teams that I never, ever talked to before, that I never worked with, like Jim Pop, Wally Buono, George Cortez, although we were briefly together in Sask, he spent way more time in Calgary. And Bob goes, well, you made an impact. That tells you made an impact in your time in the CFL. I'm like, I don't know what it says, but it makes me feel good. And my point is this, why I think we're liked in Winnipeg, this show, not only because we air there every day, but Bomber fans really seem to like us, and Jets fans too. But here's my point. Wade Miller. a lot of people don't like Wade because a lot of people don't like me. I think the same reason. We're a little rough around the edges. Wade just tells you the way that it is. The guys that know Wade, the reason I bring this up, Mike Abu-Meshwick, you know Abu well. We were sitting around one night in a lounge in Calgary, Ace Airport Casino, watching CFL football. And Matt Sheridan was with us, a former lineman for the Bombers, too. And I said, a lot of people don't like Wade. And those two both chimed up and said, I do. We do. They played with him. See, what I'm saying is he takes no prisoners. He doesn't suffer fools. He's a winner. And if you are a mediocre, you're probably not going to like Wade. You're probably not going to last long. Same thing with me. Now, one night in my drinking days, why are all these stories from my past coming up? Probably a good thing. Get it off my chest, get it out there, and then move on. Carm Cartieri and I were drinking at the Earls and Polo Park. You know where that is, Moose? Have you been there?
Yes. Yeah.
And I can't remember if it was the night, if it was the night before the game or the night after a game. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. But I almost said I spit you not. I'm not joking. I had like 3 beer. And which to me is like batting practice back in the day. That was nothing. And they cut me off. And even Carm was like, why'd they cut you off? I'm like, I don't know. I'm not even acting up. Believe me, I would have taken the bullet if I've acted up many nights in Winnipeg. This is not one. And literally, Carm's like, can we get the guy a beer? They're like, no, he's cut off. He'd been cut off by the manager. What? And Wade was sitting at the next table. I think he was still playing for the Bombers. This is how long ago this was. Wade got up, went to the bar, says something. Next thing you know, they're bringing us 2 pints. And I turned to Wade, who I didn't even really know. And I'm like, well, thanks for doing that. What'd you say? He goes, I've been watching. You weren't doing anything wrong. Not that proves that he's a good guy, but to an alcoholic, loved him. Could have kissed his feet, turned the taps back on.
Great guy. Exactly.
Wonderful guy. Yeah. Wade Miller for commissioner. But don't get me going on about one night in the Roxy in Vancouver. Morreale was there. Yeah, man. The good old days. Mike writes in from Ice Time Sports in Winnipeg and says, Earls, #legendary. My spider senses are tingling. One night, we're at Earl's and the Forks, and an SUV rolls up. Tinted windows, and all the coaches got out and left and jumped in the SUV. Yeah. This is the stuff I feel like you're not supposed to talk. Do you want to do the top 5, bottom 5, most?
Yeah, we got a few minutes. Let's do it.
One night before the Banjo Bowl, we went out.
You know I'm going to cut this,
True
right?
story.
This is going to make a great Instagram reel.
I don't know anything. I don't even want to know about it. This, on my mother's grave, this happened. We were at Hooters. Obviously in Polo Park, the old place, not where it is now. And I'm sitting there with Chris Parsons, our equipment driver. One of the Hooters waitresses comes up and she goes, what are you guys doing later? And I said, let me check. Nothing. Why? And she goes, well, we're having a birthday party at a club called Alive later. We need some guys to come. Do you guys want to come? It was like God came down.
Where's the sound effect now?
Our table. God came down from the heavens and sat at our table. Thank God we don't have time to finish this story. But it did happen. And we ended up going to the club called Alive. The girls go in from Hooters, and then the bouncers weren't going to let us in. I'm like, what do you mean you're not letting us in? We're with those girls. Yeah, right. He says, no, we are. Go get them. Amy, she comes. Yeah, they're with us. So we go in there, and a couple hours later, manager's coming up saying, yeah, you guys got to go. And I'm like, why? Oh, this guy did something. I'm like, hubby, he goes and we stay. It was a good time, Moose. This stuff actually did happen. NHL top 5, bottom 5. Are you ready? NHL top 5, bottom 5. Here we go.
I'm ready.
We've been promising it. Hey, speaking of Winnipeg, number 1, the Winnipeg Jets. Number 1 overall is number 1 overall. They're the best team in the NHL. Number 2, the Vegas Golden Knights. Also the hottest team in the NHL, winners of 4 in a row. Number 2, Winnipeg. Number 3, the Florida Panthers. The Cats are back. Figuratively, because they're actually in Finland, but your Stanley Cup champs are back. Number 4 team, coming out of nowhere, the Carolina Hurricanes. They found their groove, winners of 4 in a row. And the number 5 teams, the Dallas Stars. And this weekend in Finland, we're going to settle it. Who's better, the Stars or Panthers? They're going to meet for 2. Here's your bottom 5 in the NHL. 28th team, the Chicago Blackhawks. Till further notice, they still aren't. 29th team, the Nashville Predators. What exactly are they? Let's get it together, boys. Number 30, the Philadelphia Flyers. We need a goalie. 31st team, the San Jose Sharks. Even though they've won 2 in a row, they're not fooling anybody. Sharks, you got to keep moving or else you sink. And the worst team in the NHL is the Pittsburgh Penguins. Darren, I said it. There, I said it. The Pittsburgh Penguins have lost 3 in a row and minus 15 in the goal differential.
Wow. I actually agree with you. I was wondering if you were going to put the Penguins at the bottom, and they probably deserve to be there. And I was going to put Vegas ahead of Winnipeg this week and think they should be number 1, but here's why they're not. Vegas is 7-0 at home. They have not won a single game on the road, but the Jets are 4-0 on the road.
There you go. Plus, we're very big in Winnipeg, as you know. You go have a great afternoon. Get some sleep.
Awesome. You too.
We'll be right back with Jared Dumba talking some NHL hockey. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, streaming live on YouTube, on, of course, Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Episode 1 launches November 1st.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult, because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Yo, folks. The Alaterra Skincare text line is open. Is your skincare starting rotation giving up big hits to wrinkles, age spots, and acne scars? Revitalize your self-care roster with Alaterra's all-natural lineup of nourishing products. Check out their website at alaterra.com, and while you're there, use the promo code RP20 for 20% off. All right, let's jump right to it. Our good man, Jared Dumba, our hockey analyst, sent me the list of topics. And Jared, of all the ones you sent, I scanned them. Your last one was Connor Bedard being frustrated. I see he was pointless the other night in a 5-3 Blackhawks win over Colorado. He was pointless. What's the story on Connor Bedard being a little frustrated in the Windy City?
Well, it's so tough when you watch his interviews. It's tough to really. I mean, he's honest all the time. You can't really get that much frustration. I didn't see that, but the inside scoop that I've been seeing, been hearing is he's just frustrated, and not to points, but about losing. He wants to win, no matter where he is. Doesn't matter if it's for his first or second year in the NHL. And apparently that's apparently showing a little bit of frustration there. But it's Connor Bedard. He's gonna keep doing his thing. He'll get his points. I don't think he worries so much about that. But I think he wants to see his team, start to put some wins in the win column. When they brought in all these players that were, some extra good players like the Bertuzzis and Teravainens, I think he was expecting to maybe start throwing up a few more wins in the win column. But as we know, it's not that easy in the NHL, and it doesn't take a year. Ask Connor McDavid how long it's taken them to get to kind of perennial contenders. So he's got a little ways ahead of him. But I could see how that would get frustrating on a guy who's so used to winning.
Well, you played a lot of junior and a lot of pro. If you were his coach, what would you tell him? Because in my mind, I'm thinking, what did you think was going to happen? And number two, you better get used to it, because Chicago's not going to turn it around anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I would tell him is, it's not gonna come overnight. You look around at the other teams; they don't have 3 or 4 superstars or 5 superstars like a Toronto or an Edmonton. You just got to stick with it. Just keep grinding it out. Don't get discouraged. Keep doing the things you're doing. Keep leading the way you're leading, and everything will fall into place. But you just got to keep your chin up and keep going. Basically, is all you can do at this point.
Yeah, and I would not say, what did you think was going to happen? What I would say is you can only control what you can control. So play the best Connor Bedard hockey and let us do the work around you. Can you handle a few one-timers, Jared, to throw some questions at you, if you don't mind?
Sure.
Robin in Prince Albert writes in and says, do you think that the Penguins will ever do a rebuild with Sid the Kid, or wait till he retires?
I think, that's a hard one. You know what? If things keep going south, more and more south, I think Sid might change his mind. But it sounds like that entire decision is up to Sid. Do you want to move on and have a chance to win the cup? Do you want to stay in the same spot? Right now, it sounds like he wants to stay in the same spot. And as long as that's his answer, there will be no rebuild. It'll be, just little pieces here and there. And, if Sid was thinking of the team, that's going to put the team back 5 years to a decade after he's gone, not being able to bring in extra pieces for guys like himself. And if Sid's saying that, Malkin's going to stick around, all the vets are going to want to stick around. They're just going to follow what Sid does. But I think the answer to that is it falls solely on the shoulders of Sidney Crosby. Whatever Sidney says is going to be what goes. And when you win cups there and you've done as much for the team and the league as he has, you kind of gotta make the decision his and respect him.
Yeah, but he also just signed a 3-year, $8.7 million per season extension. So if they're not going to rebuild as long as he's there, get used to losing, Pittsburgh. I need your take on Connor McDavid. 2 to 3 weeks he'll be out for the Oilers. Can you talk about their start, their middling start, and now not having number 97 available?
Yeah, I see a lot of people hitting the panic button just the same way as with, Leafs fans that they always do in the beginning of the seasons. But if you look back to last year, how long did it take Edmonton to get going? I know a coaching change happened and that set them straight. But, for whatever reason, the start of the season just hasn't been Edmonton's thing. For whatever reason, Stuart Skinner seems to start a little slower. The whole team does. It's not Skinner's fault. Right now, I mean, what do you do now with Connor out? I think that you got to take that as a positive and see it as a chance for other guys to step up, get more minutes, and see who's going to step up and play better to try and maybe they can go on a little roll. We've seen that before where a star player goes out and the team goes on. So it's going to be now you're going to get to see a little bit more of the depth, and other guys are going to have a better chance to step in and show what they got.
You wanted to discuss the Ottawa Senators being last place in the Atlantic. What did you want to say about the Sens? Fourth in the Atlantic, my bad.
With the Sens, well, just, looking at the Sens, there's a lot of people that are still kind of dumping on them, even their own fans that I see online and stuff like that, although most people that go to say anything online are to dump on people. But I think the Sens, I think they're going to surprise some people this year. Obviously, they got to try and, get ahead of the Detroits and stay ahead of those guys to try and have a look at the playoffs. But you start watching what they're doing there, all those young guys, the Kachucks, the Bathersons, those type of guys. If Pinto gets going a little more, I think they've got a good team there. I think that they're moving in the right direction. They could obviously still use another D-man or two, but you look at what they're doing there, and you look at their game last night, and they're showing some flashes. I don't think they're going to be a last place or second last place team again. When you look at what they're building and how all these young guys are kind of coming up, I know it's taken a while, but I think the Senators are going to make a good push and maybe even get in with that wild card spot this year.
It would be nice, obviously, for their sake and their fans, and believe me, I think it helps the arena discussion to have a good team. They got a new head coach there, obviously. So Travis Green, let's hope for the best for them. The Flames, best start in 52 years, and now have lost back-to-back games, and not close. 5-0 in Vegas, 5-3 at home to the Jets. Where are you on the Flames?
Well, I wouldn't panic there either. I mean, at the beginning of the year, I said, well, they're going to drop off. They can't maintain this. Everybody's talking about a rebuild, but it's the Jets and the Knights. I mean, those are the two, in my opinion, the two top teams in the league right now, probably. When you look at the Flames roster, for a team that's rebuilding, it sure doesn't look like a rebuilding roster. You got Backlund, you got Kadri, you got Kuzmenko, you got Zary, who's only a second year but playing really well. Sharangovich is coming back. They got a pretty deep roster up front. And then when you look at guys like Rasmus Andersson leading the team in scoring, you got a guy like that on the back end, Mackenzie Weegar. See how the big guy Ball can play. If he breaks out, they've got some good players there. So I don't know does that rebuild just kind of go into a retool? Do they start shipping away some of the big guys, Anderson and these guys, and seeing how much they can get for them? I don't know. When you look at that roster, it sure looks like a pretty decent roster to me.
A quick one. Golden Knights at Kings tonight. Who wins, do you think? That should be a doozy.
I'm gonna pick the Kings. I'm saying the Kings are gonna win 4-2 with an empty netter. Kopitar will have a couple of goals, as usual, in a big game. But I don't know. I'm a Kings fan, so of course I'm going to say that. Looking at the Knights this year, a lot of people were picking the Knights to drop off this year because they lost this guy and they lost that guy. The Knights, as they do every year, they find guys that step up. Obviously, McCrimmon knows his stuff, knows what he's doing there, and once again, they're on top of the division. So it'll be a tough one for the Kings, but I got to go with my Kings 4-2 with an empty netter, Roddy.
Like you say, the Leafs are your regular season team. The Kings are your playoff team. We all got to have those. Good job, Jared. It goes fast. Keep on trucking, my friend.
Thanks for having me, brother. You have a great rest of your day.
You too. We'll be right back with a sports update in overtime and viewer takeover, whatever you would like to talk about on a very spooky edition of the RP Show. Heads rolling in Calgary with the Stampeders. Feel like we'll be talking a lot about that when we come back. Alaterra Skincare text line is open, 902-518-3033. We'll be back in a flash on Game Plus TV, Key Radio, live on YouTube streaming, of course, and also Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Episode 1 launches November 1st.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Okay, everybody, we're back for Overtime. It's proudly brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. If you're looking for just the perfect place for your team building event, sessions, outings, look no further than Overtime Hockey Lanes. whether you're from the Calgary area or if you're on a road trip from out of town. Book your lanes today, 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. There's nowhere like it. State-of-the-art equipment, spacious shooting lanes, games for all ages, licensed bar for the parents, you name it. I love it. That's all I can say. Bear with me here. I'm just updating this sports update here. What a day in Canadian sports. And that's what we are. We're on Game Plus TV all across Canada, 31 U.S. states. So we do talk a lot of Canadian sports. The World Series is huge in my circle of friends. What I'm seeing on social media, the Dodgers, LA Dodgers, have a second chance to close out the World Series tonight at Yankee Stadium. New York stayed alive Tuesday night with an 11-4 win. Yankees tonight sending ace Garrett Cole to the mound. Dodgers countering with Jack Flaherty. It's a Game 1 rematch. And I think more and more people are getting into it. I see people writing in saying, baseball puts me to sleep. That's you. But we're into it. The news from the Canadian Football League today, Calgary Stampeders announced that longtime assistant coaches Mark Killam and Brent Munson won't be back with the Calgary Stampeders, along with defensive line coach Juwan Simpson. Killam coaches special teams. Brent Munson coached defense. He was the coordinator. They're all out. Stampeders finished 5-12-1, fifth in the West Division this season, missing the CFL playoffs for the first time since 2004. I can't. Stampeders fans will have their own thoughts on this. It looks like they pointed the finger at Bo last year. Looks like they're pointing the finger at these coaches now. Are those coaches right? Dave Dickinson, John Huffnagel? We're going to find out, I guess, because the bosses don't ever fire themselves. Not that I've seen. Although that did happen with the 1999 Saskatchewan Roughriders. We talked about that earlier. I'm not going to go through that again. What I will say about Dave Dickinson, I don't know him well. I've been around him. Don't be fooled by the shucks, opie demeanor. He's an assassin. You saw him on the field as a player. I don't think he's any different as a head coach. Craig is a lot more, his brother Craig, a lot more of that shucks demeanor. And everybody's expecting that Craig will be running the special teams there next year. And maybe they'll turn it around right smartly. But what I will say is this, that nobody's been able to answer this question. How do the vaunted Calgary Stampeders not have a franchise quarterback? How did that happen? Oh, we made a mistake. Yeah, well, people usually get fired for making a mistake, and you just fired all the defensive and special teams coaches. So that makes sense to me. But I've said it many, many times on this show. I say it in my commentary a lot. Don't sit and wait for things to make sense, because you're going to be waiting a long time in today's world. Move on. As will I. The Canadian Elite Basketball League announced today the Vancouver Bandits have been named the 2024 CEBL Franchise of the Year. The Bandits, who also took home the Digital Excellence Award and Community Champion honors last week, officially won 3 of the 4 annual business awards, while Jason Smith from the Winnipeg Sea Bears secured Executive of the Year last week. Florida freshman Olivier Rioux is set to make basketball history. The 6'9" center from Terrebonne, Quebec, will become the tallest player ever to compete in college hoop when he joins the 21st ranked Gators this season. Rioux is 3 inches taller than Hall of Famer Yao Ming. Gators play their first game on Monday. Canadian skips Brad Gushue and Rachel Homan remain unbeaten at the Pan-Continental Curling Championships in Lacombe, Alberta. Gushue at 5-0 plays Australia today. Homan at 4-0 shares the lead in the women's standings and faces Korea and Mexico. And I think she was just off the ice with a win over Korea. Didn't say in the news release when that game was, but I think Rachel Homan went to 5-0. And she's so cool. I love Rachel Homan. Do you get tired of these stories that I tell over and over and over again? I mean, we have the new audience all the time. I feel like that's why I need to keep repeating these, but I did that banquet up in Paradise Hill, Saskatchewan, with Brian Sutter, Daryl Sutter, Buddy Benz Miller, the Chuck Wagon legend, and Rachel Homan. And Daryl Sutter and I got in a fight on this, not a fist fight, but an argument on stage. And it was uncomfortable for everybody in the room except me and Daryl. And Rachel was like watching a tennis match, and she told me later, she's like, I was on your side, but I was afraid to say it. Welcome to the story of my life. Standing out here on an island, wondering if I'm nuts. Sports Update brought to you by Seat Giant. Stop paying U.S. dollars for games and concerts. Canadian owned and operated with Canadians in mind. Super Bowl, college football, Taylor Swift, Justin Timberlake. They've got it all. Use the promo code RP Show for 15% off at checkout. Visit their website at seatgiant.ca. And one more time for Landmark Cinemas and their rewards program. I'm a member. Moose is a member. Get more of what you love. Free movies, concession items, invites to special events. Go check out landmarkcinemas.com today. Pick one of the 3 programs and get saving on the movie. Okay. Thank you to Arash Madani. Thank you to Jared Dumba. Most of all, thank you to you and our wonderful crew at IKS. It's been a lot of fun today. We'll do it all over again tomorrow, noon Eastern, here on Game Plus and Key Radio.
How about that?
Who has more fun than us?